Hey everyone, welcome to Our Small Footprint. My name is Nyssa. If you're new here, we are a large family living off-grid in Australia. Today's video is all about the house that we just put on the property for my mum. Now, to give a little bit of background, I haven't put a video out in a week because it's been a really hectic week. So, my mum lived in Brisbane City, and that's where I used to go to do my groceries and things like that. And she rented, and she works full-time from home, and her rent went up $50 a week. Now, all along the plan had been for her to move out here eventually, retire out here or whatever else. And it was sort of decided that with an increase of $50 a week, she could pay it if she needed to. But with that increase, why spend that kind of money on rent when she could be putting it away so she could have more fun when she retires with traveling or whatever else. And that now, while she's healthy and still working and everything else, is the best time to get set up out here so that everything is exactly how she wants it for when she's not working anymore. So we decided to move on that. She got notice that the rent was going to go up, and so she inquired to see if she could get like an extra month-by-month lease or even an extra 6 months lease, but not a 12-month lease. And they said no. So then we were stuck in a bit of a hard place that she had 6 weeks from, well, only really like 4 or 5 weeks by the time they said no, to make all the plans and figure out exactly what she was going to do and move and everything else, which was very short notice for the kind of planning that we had to do. So, first thing we did is we did some research on buildings that could be delivered on a back of a truck without having to have like excessive driveways or anything, and went with one of the expandable buildings. So we went through Express Portables is the company we went through. I have no affiliation with them. It's just the one that we ended up going through. And we found one that has a 35 metre squared building, but it comes in just a small shipping container size, which is perfect for coming up our driveways and things like that. And has one whole glass wall. So that is the building that we went with. It has a bathroom in the middle as well, which we knew we'd have to adapt, but was a good start to have a waterproof room. Now, we had a few things that had to go on before we could do any of that. We had to clear a driveway to the cleared spot that we were going to place her building. So the cleared spot had to be picked. So the gentleman who did our clearing for us picked the spot based on the best ability to clear it. And so did a driveway at a minimum of 3 meters wide from our building to her clearing, and then cleared enough space for us to decide where to put everything. That was step one. Now, we are very, very sandy here, so the ground, there's now just dust and sand everywhere, but we went through that when we first moved out here as well, but we got that done. Now, the building has a bathroom, but it has a toilet that would need to be hooked up to septic, and we do not have good water supply because we cart water in, so we wanted to go with one of the approved composting toilets. So we went with the Alectura, I think it's called. I will put the name on the screen because I'm pretty sure that's correct, but I'm not gonna, and we bought it through EcoFlow, I think was the company that we bought it through. Again, no affiliations here. These were just the ones that we decided on, and we had already looked at that because that's the one that we want to use for ourselves as well. Now, the problem with a composting toilet is that it needs underfloor clearance. Now, this particular one only needs 500 mils, which is why we were researching this one and why we went with this one. But it did mean that the building had to be up at least 500 mils high. And we ran into another slight problem in that the placement of the toilet in the bathroom is actually recessed into the bathroom. It's not on the back wall. So when we build our raised bathroom and stuff, the toilet will go on a back wall, which just makes emptying chambers easier and things like that. We decided it'd still be all right because Mum is only going to need her chamber changed like once every 12 months. So it's not such a big deal, unlike us with a family of 7 living here who will need to change it probably every 3 months. 3 to 6 months. So, but we did need to get the building up on some blocks to be able to do it. So the buildings can be placed just on pavers, just solid concrete pavers, a stack of 3, and that's it. That's all it needs for a base. But we needed the height clearance. We didn't want to go concreting anything in or posts or anything, partially because you'd have to be a little more precise than we are really particularly capable of being, but also because of our ground, especially after just being cleared and all the trees being pulled, the depth of the sand is significant. And so going further down to dig holes and put former tube in there and concrete footings, it wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to be something we could do. And we didn't really have time either, because we only had a few weeks to get this all sorted for the building to be delivered so that Mum could move out here. Our place is not suitable for someone else to be staying in for much time. It really isn't. So what we decided to do was I rang around trying to find concrete blocks that it could be placed on. So we needed concrete blocks that were at least 500 mil high, preferably a little bit more. And to be that height, there had to be certain dimensions in other ways because they have to be reinforced with steel. So we ended up getting a standardized size block, which is 1200 by 600 by 600. Or what's that? That's 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot. And they weigh almost a ton each. So then we had to run into the problem that we couldn't transport them, nor could we place them ourselves. So we needed someone to do that. We got a few different quotes of different things. There was quotes about leveling ground and things like that as well. Because of the sand base, that was quite extensive. And anyway, we ended up discussing it and placing the blocks directly onto the sand, which will settle and erode a little bit with the first few lots of rain. But they're 1200 by 600 by 600 blocks. It's really not that big a deal. So first step was to rope out or stake out where we needed to place the blocks so that the building could be placed and folded out. So Darryl and I did that. I have an image here of the stakes that we placed out. So we measured out the midpoints of the feet for the building and needed to get the blocks placed so that those points where the stakes were in the middle of the blocks, basically. Some of them we wanted middle towards an end rather than middle, because we didn't want too much of the block extending out from the building in certain parts of the building. We wanted most of it tucked under the building. So there was a little bit of like planning to try and get the blocks in the right spot because we knew that we couldn't move them ourselves once they were placed. So we staked out approximately the middle of where those blocks needed to go, and then we knew that we had a little bit of leeway when we got them placed. We got a gentleman out who was associated with the place that we got the blocks from, which I cannot remember the name of. I'm going to put up on the screen. Again, no affiliation, just happened to be who we used. And he was great. So he drove out in his crane truck with the blocks on the back, and then what he did was he just lifted them over the side. I've got some footage here of the blocks being placed and how Darryl and I had to sort of just maneuver them while they were suspended to get them where we want, and then he'd drop them. We picked them up and moved them if we needed to and things like that. Full body footage of myself, which I detest, but you know, I'm being nice here and sharing it. So we had to get the blocks placed into the correct space so that once the building arrived, we could get the building placed. So once we got all those blocks down, we marked out where we wanted the feet of the main building to be placed along those middle lines of blocks so that when the sides of them are folded out, the sides would fold out where we needed, because again we wanted the side with the glass wall, which is going to have a patio attached to it, as close to the edges of the concrete blocks as we could get so that the deck comes right up to the building as much as possible. We did have issues with one block being placed a little bit off, and it does protrude slightly, but we'll work around that, and I'll show that. We'll get into that when we're doing the patio and stuff. For the moment, it is what it is, and we'll figure it out. So then came the gentleman to bring the building. So again, it came on a crane truck from, and it was organised via Express Portables. They organised the delivery of the building, and we got it brought out, and I've got footage here of it on the crane and coming out. So we needed to have the bathroom facing the back of the property so that the glass wall was facing the western wall, because that's where we're going to put the patio, and then her bedroom will be on the eastern wall, which will be cooler, and it allows the building to face approximately north-south so that the solar panels are getting the best amount of sunlight in a day, because in in this part of the world, facing approximately north-south, is the best option for best access to sunlight all year round. So that's what we planned for. So he had it, again, it was on a crane, he picked it up, he spun it round, and then we positioned it over the blocks of round about where we need it to be. There was feet that had to be screwed into the building that were adjustable. So then we had to screw the feet into the base of the building while it was suspended, place it, check levels, lift it and adjust as needed, and get it as level as we possibly could and placed on those blocks evenly so that the building was ready to go and ready to be folded out. So that was the first few steps of many that were required to get the building sorted. So we got that there, we got the building down, and that was pretty exciting though, to us to get the building in place on the property and know that we then had access to it to do what we needed to do. Alrighty, the next step was unfolding the house. Now, I probably didn't get anywhere near as much footage as I would have liked. And part of that is because it's really hard to film while doing. Like, in general, it was only Darryl and I doing it all. And to be able to film and help, and I don't know how people do it, honestly, which is why a lot of my footage ends up being in the kitchen, because at least I can place something down and I can talk through what I'm doing and it's all in camera and things like that. But the DIY stuff I find really difficult to film because I'm normally doing the stuff. I don't know, other people are better at it, obviously, than me. But for us, it was challenging. So what we decided to do was we decided to fold one side of the building down without trying to film anything, so that we could have a go and figure it out before I started filming the other side. But it did mean that I didn't get a whole lot of footage of the building. There is a small clip here that I'll put in where it was still folded up, and I went straight in the front door to the bathroom because the bathroom was part of the middle of the building. So it was there right from the word go. So we walked in there and I showed Mum the bathroom and everything straight on a footage. So I've got a clip of that. So I'll put that clip in here. I think it's vertical, but I'll do that. So I'm going to put that clip in here. And then I didn't get much else. I got some photos. So again, I'll put what I can in here. Darryl and I attempted to pull one side down and completely open it. We ran into a few different challenges along the way. You have to winch the floor down. You will see this process, but you winch the floor down and then you lift the side wall up, which goes underneath the roof, and the roof sort of locks in, and then you open the sides. The side wall was very heavy. Very very heavy. Darryl and I managed it. We got the sidewall up, we got the roof down, but then we couldn't get the sidewalls to fold out. Even though the floor was level, things were getting stuck and I didn't want to damage the vinyl on the floor. And we ran into quite a few issues, and what we wanted to do was pull the sidewall back down to drop the floor a little bit, to try and get some of that resistance that the floor was giving away from the walls. So we fight-assed around a lot trying to get this to work, and ended up deciding that we were going to call someone in, so there was a third adult to help us get the other side done and to help us pull that wall down and re-put it up and things like that. So we got a friend to come around, who we get to do tree work, and he helped Mum move and things like that, and we just pay him accordingly to help us out. And he and Darryl pulled the other side back down and then got it back together to test out that whole, doing it first before trying to film anything else. And they got it to work. So we ended up having to take one of the feet out and put a concrete underneath it instead of the foot, because the foot just wouldn't go up far enough to allow, and the blocks weren't quite level, which we were expecting because we placed them ourselves, and got that side down. So then we had to start on the next side. Now I've got a few different clips here to share of bits and pieces, but again, I was doing a lot of it and it's really hard to film things that I'm doing. But the process goes a little like this. You attach a winch to 2 different points on the side of the building. So the roof pops up. I showed a photo of that. The roof pops up. It's super simple. And then you have to pull the floor down. So you attach a winch on both sides of the floor to a plate to holes and stuff that already exist, and the winches come with the building. Once those winches are attached, you then have to thread the wire that is on the winches up through a pivot point, I suppose. I've got footage here, so hopefully it shows it a little bit, but there's a little roller that goes through a bolt and the wire goes behind it, so that there is something to put a tension point on the wire that isn't the winch, that allows for leverage. So it feeds up through there, and then it clips on to the floor. You get that hooked up on both sides. Once it's hooked up on both sides, you then have to remove these little square plates that seem like there should be far more than that holding everything together. But so you get your winches nice and firm, and then you remove those metal plates. Then the floor drops a little bit. And then you can start winching it down. Now this second floor, it dropped a little bit, but not enough. It ended up that the roof was just in the way. So Phil actually jumped up on one of the concrete blocks and just lifted the roof slightly, because there was a little bit of friction causing the floors not to drop. And then we winched them down. So you have one person on each side, which is partly why it was hard to show the previous one, because Darryl and I were figuring this out as we went, and we were both doing it all. I got some footage this time because Phil and Darryl were doing it, but they winched it slowly down to the floor so that the floor would come down. Once the floor is suspended but above the blocks, then you screw the feet in, because you're going to level the floor. So you screw the feet in, you check your levels, and you place the floor on the ground. Now, the first time we did the other side, we then took the winches off because we thought, cool, we're done. It's down, it's level, and we didn't do that this time. We did have to winch it up and down a few times to try and get things sorted, to get the feet, everything arranged. So we left the winches attached at this particular point. Now, then we had to get the sidewall up. I left them to it, thinking Darryl and I managed the other one, they should manage this one, except that this one was a lot heavier. The entire wall is glass, and it was pretty heavy. So they did a few things trying to do it and couldn't manage it, and I ran up and helped them. They got it lifted slightly and then couldn't get it any further between the two of them. So I jumped up, and my little bit of extra oomph was enough for us to just lift it into place. And once it's lifted into place, the roof locks it in place, and then you slide out the sidewalls. Now, I don't appear to have any footage of the sidewalls, and part of that is because it's the fiddliest part of the entire job. It does not matter how much you think that floor is level, or how much the level tells you that floor is level. Those walls get stuck. So we ended up using I really should have got footage of it. We ended up using an electric jack underneath the floor with the Bluetti. So we used it plugged into the Bluetti, and then we had it on a stump underneath the floor to lift the floor slightly to adjust the feet once the wall was up, because the winch isn't meant to lift the wall while a roof's on it either. They're only rated to about 565 kilos per winch. So once the roof is there too, it's a little bit more than the winches really like. So we used an electric jack as well to help with to assist us to do that. Dropped the floor a bit to get the walls out, and then had to jack the floor back up to lock the walls into the roof. So both the end walls are on hinges, basically. There's a set of 3 metal hinges on the inside, and they swing, but they only swing out, they don't swing in. So you swing them out across the floor to lock into that corner, and then there is a metal plate that is screwed into the corner as well to keep the roof locks into the wall, and then those 2 pieces lock together as well. But yeah, I didn't realize until I was pulling the footage out that I didn't really get any footage of those walls, because it took us hours, but we just had to keep on adjusting and adjusting and adjusting until we got those walls pulled out. In the end, we got them there. There was still gaps between the floor and the walls, but that's normal because they tell you to silicone it all in, and there is rubber as well that goes in between the floor and the walls. So I went around and I put the rubber between the floor and the walls everywhere, and then we've been slowly siliconing on the outside as well. So the rubber goes in on the inside, and then the silicone goes in on the outside, and that seals up those holes. So we've been working on that as well. But yeah, I only realized once I pulled it in that there just wasn't a whole lot of footage of me, like, of those end walls. I will put a link in the description. So the company that we bought it from, Express Portables, did send us a link of the buildings being put into place. I'll put it in the comments. But it looks a whole lot easier when they do it. But that was probably the 30th or the 40th or the 50th, the building that they've put together as well. And they're doing it on the ground. So being up that 600 mil definitely caused some things to be a little bit more difficult. It definitely increased the difficulty rating. There was the fact that to reach the roof from the outside of the building, you had to be standing on those blocks to be able to reach it, and all that sort of thing. Like it's definitely caused some difficulties. Now, we have managed to get a bit further than having the building open. We now have the solar panels and everything up, but I'm going to do that in a different video because I'm going to show you how we set up the water, the solar panels, the toilet, and all that sort of stuff, but I'm going to do that in a separate video. So this is just basically getting the building in place and expanded. I did do some footage of the building before anyone moved into it as well, so I've got that here. I can't remember whether I'm talking in it or not, or whether you just get some music to show you the building and bits of clips and bits and pieces, some footage from the outside and other bits and pieces. But basically I'm just going to collate it all into this video and share it because it's now been a week and I cannot get out of my own way to get this done, because it really feels inadequate to show the scale of the job and to show you enough information about it, because it was really hard to film anything while I was doing it. And I honestly, as I said, I don't know how people who DIY do it. I think it's just, we don't have the time. Everything is done in such, it has to be done on a timeline. The kids were doing schoolwork while we were trying to do it. So they were in class, and then we had to help them outside of that. We only had the couple of weeks before Mum got here. I have to work on Wednesdays and Thursdays, so I have to leave the house on Wednesdays and Thursdays. But we also had a great big Dungeons and Dragons job that was due on the 1st of May that had to be finished, that Darryl and I were working non-stop on every night to try and get ahead of. And then he also has to, we have all the animals still. We still have to cook and eat, and we had to do all the processing of the food that got brought home from the groceries, and it was a lot. So yeah, but the building got there, and Mum is out there now. She had her first night out there, though the hot water didn't work when she went for a shower. But we'll get into that in a different video. So I do have footage of some of the days that we were doing stuff, that there was food cooked. I don't know what I'm doing with any of it, and I'm way behind, and as per usual, I've got nothing to share in advance because it's just not how I work. But we will get there. At least I can share the erection of the building with you. So enjoy, any other footage that I've got to add here. Sorry it took me so long, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Right, so we're still very much a work in progress here. We need to get solar panels still. We haven't got any solar panels up, but the building is opened up and Mum isn't here yet, so I thought I'd give you a look at it before we put anything inside it. Though we have been working on it today, so there is some rubbish, and as I said, it's still a work in progress. There's a few things that need to be done. So the building gets folded out and there is a few gaps that need to be sorted out. So if you have a look here, you can see light through there. That's where this wall folded out. So there is some black rubber that needs to go under here, and then silicone as well. So we need to stick the black rubber there. There's also, I don't know if I can get a shot of it, but down the side here, you can just see light through there. There is also some black rubber to go there. To seal up that. So we need to do that. We put the screens on the windows, so there's screens on all the windows, so that's good. But other than that, it's all unfolded. There is a few bits and pieces. There is some brackets to go in the corners that need to be done. Obviously we haven't done the deck, and we need to adjust some of these feet and blocks a little bit. But we've got the feet for the deck and all the timber as well. So this will be the feet for the deck, and the deck will go up probably 2 steps, and then from the deck to the house will probably be 2 steps. So that's the idea there. As you can see the dust blowing everywhere? That's why the dust is so bad, because everything is loose at the moment because we've just cleared. The wind's up too, so doors closing. So we bought decking timber as well. So this is the side of the house, the side that doesn't have the glass. A nice shady side, which will be the eastern wall predominantly. The building is facing mostly north because that's the best for solar panels, so this is sort of the eastern wall. This is the timber that we bought for her decking, so we got these 5.7 metre lengths of the Merbo because they'll look really nice on her decking. And then the back of the building looks like this. So there is one push-out window, which is the toilet window, that doesn't have any screening on it, but we do have some of those magnetic screens. So what I'll do is I'll put that on there on the inside, and she can just like lift the corner that's magnetic to open the window and lift it to close it, sort of thing, when she wants the window open in the bathroom. But that's the bathroom window, and this is the back of the house. So we've bought a bunch of different things that we need to set up. We've got 4-way tap fittings that will be attached to her tank, and then the tank will be attached to filters for cold water and hot water. It'll come out to both, and from there it'll go to, so the tank will go into the filters will go into the 4-way, and the 4-way will go into the hot and cold outlets here, but also we will have it running to the patio, because the patio is where her washing machine is going to be. We turned this brick here so it was that direction because the toilet wasn't going to be easy to put under. So the toilet's going to have to go in under there, and that has arrived. So we got I know my filming is fantastic, isn't it, when I'm walking around? We got the Nature Loo toilet. And so it comes with 2 of these chambers and then a pedestal, and then it comes with a trolley to be able to maneuver the chambers out from under the house. This is what the inside looks like. It's a mess at the moment because we've been working out here, but this is what it looks like. It's pretty spacious considering it's flat roof. Let me get to the right angle. I'm standing right at the front door, so the bathroom is directly ahead of us, and then the 3 sections are split that way. We just put the rubber in the joins of the floor and then the little floor pieces, but we're going to need to put some silicone or something in there as well to hold them because they shift a fair bit at the moment. So we're going to do that. We did have a few issues with folding the house out. And there has been a little bit of damage to the vinyl on the floor, which is unfortunate, but the vinyl on the floor is pretty shocking. So eventually she'll probably get some proper vinyl floorboards put down, which would look really nice in here. So we'll do that. All the extra lights are here. We haven't installed them yet. They need to be put into these holes, so we will get that done. Darryl just needed the connectors. All the PowerPoint cabling is here, and all the extra PowerPoints come with the house. So this is the conduit covers. The conduit covers will go over the conduit, and then we'll put the PowerPoints in. We haven't done that yet because I want Mum to confirm where she wants her PowerPoints. The plan at the moment is that she's going to have her bedroom here, her lounge room in this corner, with the couch in the corner and the TV backing onto her bed. You get the bathroom, and over here will be her kitchenette, and then her desks for working will be in this corner next to the glass as well. So yeah, it's going to be nice. It is a pity that that door is in that spot. Because they want to put the kitchenette over here because it's got the doors there and stuff, but probably won't put much. Like, it would have been better if that door was in the middle. I'm not sure why it's to the side, because the desk is going to be there and it's going to be an issue. We'll figure it out as we go. So yeah, another string of 3 lights go there. There's a safety board there. And then the bathroom, which I think I already filmed a little bit of. We've just pulled the flushing toilet out, and we have the pedestal here for the composting toilet ready to go. So the glass is on the western wall, which means that it's a little bit warm in here at the moment, but the patio is going to be out there. And the roof line of the patio will be above the glass doors because the door has to be able to be opened. So yeah, that will be good. I do wish that it had have had 2 doors or the door was in the middle. It would have been better, but we will figure it out. Yeah, so that's how it looks at the moment, all empty and ready to go. And we will keep on updating as we get stuff done. The solar battery from Humsiank is ready to go. We just need to get panels on the roof. Darryl is going to have to go and get the panels. We just haven't had time because it's another trip to Toowoomba to get them. So we haven't, and you basically can't cart anything but the panels because they're just bulky and heavy and fragile and, you know, all the rest of it. So we've still got to do that. But yeah, that's it so far.